Game number 75 as the Boston Celtics host the Milwaukee Bucks. Welcome into the Celtics pregame report with Josue Pavone on CLNS Radio. I'm joined by Adam Paris of SB Nation's Brew Hoop. Adam, thanks for checking in, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Looking forward to talking Bucks Celtics.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for the Bucks to grab that number 5 seed in the playoffs? I mean, you got the Hawks and Pacers pretty much have identical records as Milwaukee. If the Bucks were to head into the postseason as the 6th seed, you would most likely face a first-round matchup against the Washington Wizards. How do you feel about that?
I have some mixed emotions because the 5 seed facing the Raptors is something that I sort of look forward. That I think the Bucks fans would look forward to, especially with Kyle Lowry coming off his injury. But the Bucks have had a pretty terrible history against the Raptors recently. Terrence Ross was ripping them up for a long time. Luckily, he got traded. But Kyle Lowry at 70% might be better than having to face the Wizards with John Wall, Beal, and Otto Porter. They're really been humming since their early season start. So I've sort of been grappling with whether the Raptors or Wizards might be a better matchup. And at this point, I still think it's a bit of a toss-up. But if Lowry's at, going to be at 70% or whatever, I think that might be the better one for the Bucks.
Yeah, between the Bucks and the Raptors, that's a lot of size up front.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the Raptors new addition. And that was really something that the Bucks just sort of were getting beat down by the Raptors backcourt, more importantly. So I'm not quite as worried about their rising up front just because, whenever we would face them, DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, and Terrence Ross would just do their thing, knock down crazy shots, even with guys in their face. So, I'm not quite as worried about them beefing up front court, but definitely having guys like Serge Ibaka and PJ Tucker who could potentially lock down someone like Giannis or Middleton is a little more worrying.
Well, when it comes to the Raptors, 1 through 5, they look huge against the Celtics. So I always look at size whenever I think about the Raptors. I just think about how much bigger they are than the Celtics, 1 through 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually something that's been interesting about the sort of steering into the Bucks-Celtics matchup is that the Celtics, at least for definitely sort of last year, and in their earlier game that they faced the Bucks, they were, they didn't have Horford was out in that game. And so Greg Monroe has really sort of been a guy who's been able to take advantage of the Celtics' lack of size down low. And without Horford back, it gives them a little more size down low to defense against Greg Monroe, sort of prevent him from going off. And he's moved into more of a bench role than what he was last year. But he's still been able to really take advantage of some of the Celtics' lack of size.
Well, the Bucks haven't dropped a lot of games throughout this month of March. This has easily been their best month of the season. How much of that do you think has to do with the return of Chris Middleton, or do you think this Bucks team is just sort of gelling at the right time?
Well, I think it's a mix of both. Swapping out Jabari Parker, who is clearly having a great year, advancing forward, but really is still a very suspect defensive player, and swapping in someone like Chris Middleton, who I don't think is as quite of a great one-on-one defensive player as some people might make him out to be, but he's working within the Bucks scheme. His lengthy arms work perfectly for forcing steals and getting turnovers. So that's been a really big part of his return to the lineup. The Bucks, their defense is tailor-made to get turnovers. If it's not getting turnovers, then it's not really worth the gamble that they make for them extra help defenders. And basically, since Middleton's return, they're forcing opponents to turn the ball over at the second highest rate in the league, just behind the Warriors. So that's been a really huge part of their resurgence here. And Chris Middleton obviously supplying the three-point shooting. Jabari was shooting more three-pointers, which was helpful, but Chris Middleton is really one of the premier shooters in the league. He's shooting a career-best 44% so far. It's looking like that may regress back down to his career 40% mark, but, in reality, swapping out a guy like Jabari Parker and putting in a guy like Chris Middleton is really a big boon for this Bucks team. And interestingly, their defense hasn't actually really changed much at all since they've put in Chris Middleton. But really what they've been doing is they've been slowing down immensely. They were playing at the 10th slowest pace in the league before Jabari's injury. Now they're at the 3rd slowest pace. They aren't turning the ball over as much, and that increased opponent turnover percentage has really helped them in terms of netting more points in transition, because that's really where the Bucks can make their hay. When they get Giannis out in transition, there's very few guys in the league who can really stop him.
CLNS Radio Celtics pregame report is being powered by the SeatGeek ticketing app, the smartest and easiest way to buy and sell sports and concert tickets. Get a $20 rebate on your first purchase by downloading the free SeatGeek app to your phone. Go to the settings tab and click add a promo code and enter the code CELTSNEWS. That's CELTSNEWS, all one word, for a $20 rebate, and so SeatGeek knows who sent you. Adam, what do the Bucks have to do to beat the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference? I had to say it, Adam. I might not be able to say this in a week, so I had to throw that out there.
No, I didn't blame you. I figured you would want to bring that up.
You know it.
I think what the Bucks really have to do if they want to take out this Celtics team is try to prevent them from getting off as many threes. They shoot the third highest most three-point attempts in the league. This Bucks defense is really known for giving up a lot of three-pointers, which really is going against a lot of the standard traditional thought process that is going into defenses nowadays. Celtics got off 37 three-pointers in their last matchup. So really, if the Bucks are able to run them off the line and try to prevent, Isaiah Thomas from getting quite as much penetration, kicking out the shooters, and preventing some of them from launching it from deep, I really think that's going to be key if the Bucks really want to stay in this game. Otherwise, I think they'll also need a big night from Greg Monroe. Like I said, he's been good against the Celtics this year. And obviously, having Giannis have a good night is almost a prerequisite for this Bucks team to win. So those are some of my big...
All right, prediction time, Adam. Who do you think wins?
I gotta say, I think the Celtics are gonna win this one. They're rolling. I'm sure they're riding high after, getting that number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, at least for now. And the Bucks did just come off a big 6-game road trip. They only got a brief stop back at home, and then they played the Charlotte Hornets basically just the night before they're facing the Celtics. So back-to-back on the road after they just had a big long road trip. I think it's going to be tough for the Bucks to win this one, so I think the Celtics will pull it out.
All right, we'll have to see what happens. Adam, I appreciate you taking the time. He is Adam Paris of Brew Hoop. You can follow him on Twitter at Adam R. Paris. That's at Adam R. Paris on Twitter. Give him a follow, guys. And Adam, I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Celtics pregame report. I want to thank Adam once again for joining me, and to everyone who tuned in to yet another pregame report. Be sure to check out the Garden Report after the game on CLNS Radio's YouTube channel at youtube.com/CLNS Radio for all the raw and uncut videos from the locker room and the press table after the game. Tonight's postgame show will air immediately following tonight's game on clnsradio.com. Call in toll free at 347-215-7771 after the game to get on the airwaves. Or just like this show, you can listen to it on demand anytime, any place, anywhere on the CLNS Radio mobile app. We'll see everyone back here this Friday as the Celtics will be at home against the Orlando Magic. Weekday shows air on the Celtics Newsfeed channel on iTunes, Stitcher, and the CLNS Radio mobile app. For today's Boston Celtics pregame report with Josue Pavone, this is Josue Pavone signing off.